In today's video, we're going to spend a pretty big chunk here talking about the tropics. We do have Tropical Storm Dawn out there, and then we have another disturbance here that you can see on screen in our MDR, and that's short for main development regions. We actually have two areas that we're watching very, very closely. And then as we take a look at the model guidance later on, we're going to see a significant amount of storminess. We're going to see a significant amount of cold air in the east. And then later down the road, as we approach August and into the beginning of August, potentially finally seeing a huge flip in a very, very warm direction for the east, potentially even heat wave territory. So things might be getting hotter before they get colder. Definitely very, very interesting stuff coming up. Be sure to check out our other business, Prestige Weather, in the description and pinned comment down below. So many of you have been joining, and I can't thank you guys enough. We have so much more cool stuff on the way, but as of now, we have early access to our monthly and seasonal forecasts. We also have a lot of weather consulting going on in there. Only, it's in the text chats in there. We're talking with you guys, but we're also doing weekly calls with you guys as well, which I think is the biggest benefit there of just the $5 subscription. I mean, to get a call once a week is absolutely mind-boggling. Anyway, let's get into things, and as you can see, we have Tropical Storm Dawn, as I mentioned, 35 knots or 40 miles per hour, 1,006 millibars, so it's down about 6 millibars total from where it was just a day or two ago. So we've seen a pretty significant bump there in intensity as far as the pressure is concerned. As we take a look here at our disturbance, though, we can see it has a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days, and this has the potential to go up. The only thing I'll mention here, and it's hard to project exactly what it's going to do at the tail end of this cone, if you will, or this area of potential development, we can see that this is kind of on a trajectory for that southern Caribbean area. And typically that oftentimes leads towards some weakening of these systems. So certainly that could be what's on the table here. It could also certainly take a northern trend and go into much, much more favorable areas, in which case we would be watching this one a lot closer. So there is a lot to discuss over the coming days with this one and watch and track. And I'm really, really looking forward to it with you guys. Let's take a look at this cone forecast real quickly for Tropical Storm Dawn. As you can see, thankfully, it looks like the Atlantic coast of Canada there is not going to see direct impacts from this one. Thankfully, it looks like it's going to curve out to sea, but who knows if it's going to do another loop. Maybe it'll do back-to-back loops because it's basically done this before, and we'll have to see if it happens once more. It is expected to stay at least tropical storm intensity, but as you can see, that S turns white on the very last day there for 6 a.m. on Monday, and that's going to be a post-tropical storm, so definitely weakening in certain ways, or at least losing its tropical dynamics. But that wind and pressure is expected to maintain itself pretty much through this entire cone. So from today on Wednesday all the way through into Monday. Now, this is the part of the video where we get into the model guidance. I just want to take us towards later on today. As you can see, we're actually going to have quite a stormy day here along a lot of the east. So we can see for states like Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, the Delmarva, up through New Jersey as well. We can see plenty of thunderstorms firing up for these areas. And by the time we're reaching the nighttime, this is going to pretty much be dying off, though. So we could have a nice night tonight when nobody's awake. But while everybody's awake this afternoon, ironically, there we go with the emojis again. Ironically, it's going to be actually quite stormy. I mean, it kind of makes sense because the heat of the day, the humidity and everything, so it's not just bad luck, but definitely unfortunate. As you can see for the day tomorrow on Thursday, the 20th, you can see that there is a lot of thunderstorm activity here from the Great Lakes down through the Ohio Valley and all the way down south into kind of the southeast and mid-Atlantic area in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. So that is going to be a pocket of thunderstorms we're watching. Not only that, along a lot of your Great Lakes, your Rocky Mountains into a lot of the plains here, we can see that there is some thunderstorm activity here as well. Now, as we approach Friday afternoon into the evening, we can see that there is two areas. One of them is pretty broad. We do see there's 1,003 millibar low pressure center here over the northeast, and this is bringing some thunderstorm activity around for southeastern Canada and the northeastern United States. And then we have kind of this very scattered about kind of isolated area here of thunderstorms throughout this entire bubble I just drew. It's going to be hard to kind of indicate which areas will and will not see any activity within this, so it's really just going to be a chance type thing that you're going to have to expect the potential for thunderstorms, but the potential for none too. So it makes it a little bit more complicated, obviously. As we approach Saturday afternoon here on the 22nd, we can see that the southeast is dealing with quite a bit of thunderstorms. Same story still with the northeast here. And then for the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, we're dealing with, again, some of those more scattered and isolated thunderstorms, a little bit less consistent throughout this area, but they are scattered throughout this bubble that I just drew. So that is pretty much what we're talking about here at this point. As we move on towards Sunday afternoon on July 23rd, this is kind of the peak of our next cool down. We can see that this is kind of amplifying because the jet stream is doing pretty much this. So when we see this raising of this jet stream, it really amplifies those thunderstorm chances for the southeast. We can also see some scattered about, again, thunderstorm activity here throughout some of the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes again. And then we can see for the northeast, we're seeing some of this thunderstorm activity still from that 1,003 millibar low pressure center. So it's kind of maintained that intensity. Finally, by Monday, that one has moved up. We do see another chance at thunderstorms here for the southeast into the mid-Atlantic. So this is an area that we are dealing with some activity in here for sure. Again, Monday afternoon. Let's take this towards Tuesday afternoon. And as you can see, for the Ohio Valley into the northeast, we do see, again, some more thunderstorm activity taking place. Ohio Valley, northeast here. So this is going to be kind of a common trend here. By Wednesday, the 26th, again, the southeast looking very active, and the Rockies and Four Corner States picking back up on this intensity once more. There is actually a pretty strong low here. I know we don't talk about Canada enough here on this channel, but here kind of in central Canada, central eastern, I don't know what you'd call it. But we do have a 1,005 millibar, or better, 995 millibar low pressure center. I apologize for, I'm just tripping over myself today, but that's pretty strong for the summertime, okay, 995. Usually that's going to be more of what you'd see in the fall, winter, and spring, but for the summertime, that is a pretty intense low, and that should bring plenty of thunderstorms with it as it crosses the nation of Canada. Now, by Thursday evening, that's going to be the 27th, we can see there's a 1,005 millibar low pressure center here. A little bit of a warm front extending there, and then cold front dynamic here. So again, this is another occurrence that's actually a little bit less common in the summer. This is going to surge the warmth in the east, and again, that's what we've been talking about here on this video so far, is the potential for some heat there. We could see some colder air diving down behind this, so definitely a big time flip from what we've been expecting. Really interesting stuff here. As we keep going, we're gonna get one more day out of this on Friday the 28th. We see a relatively flat jet stream, but I will say there's more of a ridge in the east than in the west, and I think that this is going to be more indicative of a very hot pattern in the east. And you know, this is kind of the proof in the pudding that I don't really have a bias here. You know, a lot of people were saying I was calling for cold because that's what I wanted. I mean, I could really care less. I do live near the beach, so I would actually prefer a little bit of warmth. I mean, maybe upper 90s is a little crazy, but I really don't care what happens, especially this time of year. It just was probably the most interesting thing to me this entire summer, so I think that's why I had a tendency to talk about it. As we take a look at the total precipitation, we could see for Colorado and through Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Wyoming, Nebraska, we're seeing some heavier amounts. Same story here for Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia there. And then we could see for the deeper south, same thing. Southeast coast, same thing. So it's a little bit broken up here, but I mean, overall, we do see these little pockets of these heavier amounts. And as you guys know, if you've been keeping up with the videos, my general rule of thumb is that anywhere in the reds is going to be pretty much above average precipitation. So these are the pockets that we're watching for those 2 to 5 inch amounts over the next 10 days, which is a pretty significant amount for a 10-day period. As we take a look at these temperatures, again, like I mentioned, we see this cool down move in. It really is going to happen, okay? So we're going to see more mild temperatures. It's not going to be frigid. It's not even going to be cool, I wouldn't say. It is a cool down, but it's not going to be cool necessarily. I think it's going to be much more in line with lower to mid 80s, which is going to be really nice relief from that heat, but this is not going to be cold or cool or any of that. And I never intended to, you know, indicate that would happen at any point during the summer. That would be ludicrous. Now, as we keep going, we can see that we actually get another cool down a little bit there that lingers on, and it sticks around mostly for the east here all the way through the 26th here, so about a week from today, Wednesday the 26th there approximately. And then this is when the warmth starts to really build in for the east, okay? So this is a very key frame here, but look at these reds here. So the oranges outside of that are going to be about 1 to 10 degrees above normal, but the reds are going to be about 10 to 15 degrees above normal. which is going to be really high into the 90s, mid to upper 90s at least for these areas. So this is significant, and this is going to be something we're going to be talking about. As we keep going, we can see that we do cool down a little bit, especially for the northeast here, where we still kind of get a colder air mass set up here. And then we start to see the west warm back up, which I've talked about before is more indicative of a positive PNA. So we might relatively quickly in the beginning to midpoint of August return to a more mild pattern and less of a heat wave pattern in the east. It's really, really hard to say, and I've seen this kind of jumping around here in the long range. So we're going to take it with a grain of salt. We're going to continue to track it daily like we always do. So be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.